My name's Katie O'Mara. I'm from Capistrano Beach, California, and I am the owner and doer of everything with my company, Trail Magik Kid Carriers. I definitely fell into product entrepreneurship by accident. I'm a registered dietitian and lactation consultant, so I've always been in the service industry. But 4 years ago today, my husband needed a special type of kid carrier for this amazing backpacking trip that he was going on with our 3-year-old at the time. I was home with the baby, and we've always raised our kids. We have 3 little ones now, 7, 5, and 3, outside. It wasn't uncommon. We've always backpacked with them, but this was the first time he was going solo. And when you're going solo on a 4 to 5 day backpacking trip with another person, it's really hard to use a hard frame back carrier. He wanted to use his own backpack, and he wasn't planning to make one. He had looked everywhere online, hoping he could just buy one, but it wasn't there. So he sewed his own carrier, and we used it for 3 years ourselves. And God kept putting it on my heart, Kate, you need to share this. Kid carrying and baby wearing is kind of cultish. Like once you're in it, you get all the colors. I knew my customer because I was my customer. It's not going to be for every parent, but it's going to definitely be for the parents who like to get out and go farther with their little walkers. So our carrier is ideal for kiddos who do not need to be carried the whole time, but they still need frequent breaks. So that like 3 to 4 year age, 3 to 5, 2 to 4, which is also amazing because it helps the endurance of the little kiddos' legs get even stronger. Only because when you use a hard frame back carrier, it's so hard to get on that if they're like, oh, I went down again. Oh, I went up. You're going to be like, absolutely not. You're staying up there. We're getting to our destination. But because this is in the front and it's used for shorter breaks, up down phase is a lot more honored and appreciated. So that's how we started this. So after 3 years, unfortunate things had happened to people who were close to us. And it just reminded me, especially as parents, what do we say? Oh, we'll do that when we're older, when the kids are older, when they're potty trained, when we have more money or time, but we're not always guaranteed health later. So I just walked into the garage where my husband is always inventing and tinkering. And I'm like, babe, we need to share this. At the time, I thought we would just put in 15,000, but after everything's said and done, it was around 85,000 too that we put in our own money to start this. My dad had passed away 5 years ago, and that was his inheritance that I put into it. Doesn't matter like what time of year it is, Alaska, Utah, all these places, sales are strong even in the winter because we have skiers. You got to get your kid up to where they need to go. And so it's just been really beautiful that our customers have also shown us what the Trail Magik can do. Originally, we were just like, okay, it's the backpacking thing. Awesome. Little by little, it's like, okay, wow, people use it just going down to the beach, right? People use it in airports. People use it going skiing and just all the things just for regular hiking. So we've really expanded thanks to our customers.
Do you have this idea? You start making this. What did you do next?
We started January, February of 2021. We're officially patent pending internationally and USA because there was nothing else out there like this. I get the sweats when I think about all the things that I didn't know and how I started and how naive I was. Like I just praised Jesus that everything worked out. Essentially, we started just manufacturing them before getting tested or anything. I didn't know that like kid carriers had to get tested and all this stuff. So we spent $15,000, just started buying material. We were going to just do like an Etsy shop and just sew as we go. Anybody orders. But because of how expensive like insurance is, because of how expensive all the testing is, we spend so much money on insurance and testing that we're either doing this or we weren't. It couldn't be a hobby. It couldn't be like a side thing. We would either need to go all in or not. And so that's when we were like, okay, we need to get it manufactured. We reached out to 18 different sewing locations, manufacturing plants in California because we had all the material on hand, remember? So I couldn't go to New Hampshire or Georgia, right? So 2 reached back out to us out of the 18. They work with heavy webbing and Cordura, which is like super thick. And then we went with 1. And again, Jesus kept opening the windows and we just kept jumping through them. We thought, okay, the patent's going to be 5,000. That's what he said, but that's just like at the beginning. And we got it tested and everything worked out and we got insurance for it, all the things. I was blessed because I was so naive because maybe I wouldn't have done it if I would have known all the steps, but I'm really glad we are where we're at and we went through with it. So we manufacture in the USA, mostly because that's just where we are. Our manufacturer is an hour away from us, so we could have our hands and everything on the product.
And how did you launch?
We did a Kickstarter. Just again, a friend of mine was in marketing. And so she's like, oh, you got to do a Kickstarter to like encourage people to buy now. Join this opportunity, buy now for whatever percent off or something. And so we met our goal and our first batch was 600 and we just bootstrapped this thing. So once we almost were through the 600, we did 1,000. Once we were almost through 1,000, we did 2,000. Now we just did 3,000. We put 85,000 of our money into it, which was mostly just manufacturing, the patent, and all the testing and insurance. But the last 6 months, ever since we hit 1,000, we've been able to just bootstrap. So no loans or investors. We just are paying outright for each batch.
What was your Kickstarter goal? Do you remember?
It was 5,000. We would have to sold 50 of them. We sold like 60 on there.
Okay.
But that helped us connect. So we are a big affiliate company. So we're direct to consumer. And one of my big things is I would much rather give 20% off the top to our community of affiliates and their followers than 50% off to big box retailer. Our affiliates get 10% back and their followers get 10% off. I didn't have a following. I didn't know this whole community was out there, but now we have 10,000 very engaged followers on Instagram and they make content for us all the time, which are so awesome. So a lot of our affiliates are stay-at-home mom and dad who adventure every day in Utah and Alaska and all over. And I'm able to pay them for their content that they were just going out hiking with. I'm able to say, oh, this is so beautiful that you created. Good job. This responsibility of yours, I appreciate, and I'm giving you a little money for it.
Let's talk a little bit about milestones. So whatever like strikes you as like, all right, I did that. That's so cool.
I think the first part was just after we got past the 1,000, we were able to just keep bootstrapping and like buying outwards the product. Secondly, when we started ads around 6 months ago, we went from selling organically 3 to 5 a day to solidly 10 a day with just $1,000 of ad spend. And again, just putting it in the right eyes. That was a huge, I think going from 10,000 a month to 30,000 a month has been the biggest thing. So we've done 220,000 in 14 months. We're on track to do 250,000 by the end of this year. I guess I get so stoked about it because I'm just an everyday mama. I am with my kids all the time. I only can work certain hours, usually a couple hours at night. Like I built this a couple hours a day. And I always put my family first. If the beach is calling, hikes are calling, we're going. And I share that information with my followers and with my customers. So like, oh, you said you were going to get this to me. Did you get it? Like I asked you 2 hours ago, because everybody wants to be. And I'm like, oh, girl, I'm on a 2-day backpacking trip with my family. I'll get to you on Monday. And they're like, oh my God, of course. So I think it also helps them realize that I'm just an everyday person like them. I will say that we will make it. We've made it when I can retire my husband from his company and him and I go all in on this. That is one of the biggest reasons why I even started this is because I want time with my husband. He's so cool and he has so many awesome skills. And I'm good at the breastfeeding and the birthing and the early years, but like the biggest milestone I cannot wait to hit is when I can say, okay, babe, it's time for you to go all in on this with me. So yes, I'm very excited about the 30,000 a month. And I know that we'll just keep growing.
What was a big shift that you've realized, especially if it came in our community, but in general even?
I've always known my person because I am my person. My husband and I, we are there. We're hiking with the toddlers. So my person was never the question. All my questions that I had for the group are, what do I not know? What am I missing? What are KPIs? Like I didn't know what that was. When do I take out a loan to start really increasing my inventory? I have a good bootstrapping opportunity right now, but I want to kick off. I'm ready. I've tested the market. It's there. People understand my product. That was always my question. I've always known my customer. And like I said, because if you're a kid carrier, you have all the kid carriers. You have all the colors. So I understood that. And that's why we have such fun colors. That's why we always put out new colors. So my person, I always knew because they were essentially me. Like I said, even to the point of content creation, I know what they need and they want and what they're searching for. And so I was able to just like let them know, this is what I have to offer. Let's do something fun. We just shared something that was so helpful for us, hoping that people would understand the benefit, still not knowing, but now it's like, okay, people understand the benefit, people want it, so it's go time.
What's your long-term plan for this? 5, 10, 15 years from now?
My goal for this is I want to continue the direct to consumer. I want to be in Europe, New Zealand, Canada, and here. I want just fulfillment centers in those areas. I know that there's going to be a point point where I won't be doing it. But my goal is to just continue to do direct to consumer, get 10,000 in each of these countries, and then be able to do ad spend in those countries and keep the direct to consumer growing. In a dream world, in 3 to 5 years, I would sell it. I would sell it to Osprey. Ultimately, I do love being at home with my kiddos. I do love gardening. I love more of a simple life, and I don't like being so busy on everything. So this is fun for me right now, but I feel grateful that my husband created something that was not out there that I could share and be a pioneer in this space. Like I said, my dream is to have my husband be able to go all in on this with me. If I could sell this in 3 to 5 years for 5 million, pay off our home and then just be together and raise our kids together and spend half the year in Montana and half the year in California, because that's where I'm from, that is my goal.
So in the 1%, what would you say is your favorite thing so far about being in there?
I love that I could just share my stoke on these milestones with them and they just see it and they feel it. Unlike a friend, it's priceless. In the mastermind groups, it's a lot of us talking, but when they get a chance to talk about what they've created and what they've built, it makes me tingly. It gets me so excited because they're just everyday people, just like me. Chad went on a motorcycle trip to Amsterdam. I'm a little nomadic myself, and I would just love for my kids and my husband and I to be like, oh yeah, hey, we're in Amsterdam this month. What's going on? That is just something that is so priceless with this group and with all of the 1%.
Is there any advice that you would love to pass along? And it could be business, it could be just get outside. Best thing that you would love to pass along to them?
One of the biggest things for me is that my faith in God, and I invite him into every decision that I make. And even sometimes when I go, okay, Jesus, I'm going to walk through this door. And if it's not the right door, shut it. Just keep moving forward. So one of the things that really was the turning point in me saying, okay, we're going to do this, is a close friend of mine, her dad had retired. Over the next week, as he's packing up his house, he kept getting big headaches. And I'll keep it short. He was given 3 months to live and he died 3 weeks later into his retirement. And I walked into the garage and I just told Connor, I go, babe, we're not going to wait for later because we might not have later. We have 3 young kids, but Jesus keeps putting on my heart to do this. And so we need to just honor him. And I feel like when you're called to do something, when God calls you to do something and you do it and you show up, he'll keep opening those doors. You just have to keep moving forward boldly. And like I said, I'll never afford this company. I'll never give up family time. I'll never give up my health or adventures with them, which allows me to be super stoked for Trail Magic every day. That's one of the things that my community on Instagram, they're like, Kate, how are you doing it all? And I just say, I put the most important things first. And then I'm able to just be my best self for Trail Magic and for our community. My goal is not to be a multi-millionaire. My goal is to be financially independent with my family and serve my community. That's my advice.